Hey, what's up? If you're trying to install these home address or mailbox modern type of numbers you can get at like Home Depot or Lowe's, I'm going to show you some tips that I learned the hard way. They're meant to be floating or flush mount. It comes with instructions, but I have some advice I would give you guys. The first thing you're going to want to do is double check your number placement when you're messing with the template. I mean, it would suck if you put these numbers and one number was in the wrong place and you set it all into the wood, because then you're going to have a hard time taking it out. The next thing you're going to want to know is know what you're drilling into. I'm making this modern mailbox for a family member, but as you can see, I have some pickets here they have nothing in the back, and it's only about, I don't know, this thick. And so there are some that I plan to go into that side, but in the top section, I'm going to drill into a kind of like a 4x4. And so I'm going to be in there really. It's a pretty thick piece of wood, so I'm going to be there, all the way. Just know what you're drilling into. You prefer to drill into something solid, that is preferred. So I think they're calling these the studs. It's good to know how they work. This is not threaded, so it does not work like a screw. How it works is that when you put it into the wood or the concrete or the brick, it's difficult to take out of. That's how it works, but it's not difficult to spin once it's in there. So that's why they've made this kind of squared right here. I don't know if you can tell. So they want you to put it in and then take a wrench and start spinning it so that this part does catch on to the threads in the numbers. However, it's difficult to do that. So I'm going to show you another option on how to get it in. The next thing you want to do is plan your template. This thing comes when you unfold it, you can tear out this perforated edge and you can put your numbers in the order that you want. I'm using a square to line up, exactly where I want it, and then I'm using painting masking tape to tape it all, solid together. It says use a punch, but I don't have a punch, and so I'm using just a nail. Once you're in there, I mark the dots with the nail, and so that's how I planned my template. So the two ways that you can stick it in there is to drill your holes, which I believe it calls for 3/16 if you're gonna do the flush mount. I mean the mount that pops it up a little bit. So I think this is 3/16. You drill your holes, then you would carefully hammer the stud into the hole. If you do that, be careful not to really hammer this hard, because you could damage this and then it would be impossible to screw it in because you damaged the screw part, the threaded part. So that's one way. What they don't tell you is that you'd have to be perfectly aligned to get it to turn, to catch, and to screw properly. Also, you don't want to screw one in completely and then the next one completely, because then this one's going to be hard, because you're kind of putting it at different angles. You want to come down evenly. So you screw a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and you keep going around until it's all flush. I don't know if you can tell right there. They don't tell you though that when you're going around and around, you could be damaging the metal or your wood here, just because you're going, like this a lot, and so just be careful with that. The other way that I did it, once I became frustrated with that way, was I decided just to go ahead and screw it in with my hand, and then rest the number, where it's going to go, and then kind of tap it into place. And that worked right here for this 5. I did have to use let's see, this foam pad, right? Because I'm not going to try to hammer this and damage the metal. So what I did was I rested a pad on it, hammered that, and at first it wasn't working, but what I noticed is that if I give it a little bit more force, I was scared at first, but if I gave it a little bit more force, it kind of popped into place. And again, I didn't want it to go like that, I had to hammer it a little bit and a little bit until it was flush. That way I didn't damage or bend these studs. Whatever way you decide to put it in, just keep in mind that the more numbers that you put into place, the harder it is to put in that last number, right? Because if I have this one in and I have this one in and then I put this one in, if I decided I wanted to screw it, now I don't really have room. I may have to my only option may only be to kind of force it in from the top. So just keep that in mind. Maybe it should work, from one end to the other. That way you do have room. That's one thing I noticed. Another thing I forgot to mention is that if you are dealing with wood or I guess with any medium that you're putting into like brick or concrete or something, you can buy some special construction adhesive, or if it's wood, maybe even wood glue, and put a little dab of that. That way when you do put this in, you're giving it extra strength. Hey guys, I hope that helps. If you're putting these modern type of home address or mailbox numbers in, I hope these tips help. If you like this video, give me a like. Thanks.